Welcome to It All Starts With You. I'm your host, Eileen Lemmelman, licensed clinical social worker, best-selling author, and motivational speaker. We'll share stories of hope, perseverance, and success that will inspire you to live a meaningful life. This show will motivate you, educate you, and encourage you to manifest your dreams into reality at any age. Because it all starts with you. Now on to the show. Hello, everyone. It's Eileen Lemmelman back with you on It All Starts With You. And we are raring to go today because, look, I'm in pink. I am in Barbie pink. And why am I in Barbie pink? Because that's the color of the month, isn't it? Everybody's in Barbie pink. But it's so fun to dress in color and to dress with whatever the theme is around movies and around TV shows, right? And so I hope you're watching today because this show brings you value, it brings you information, it educates you, it inspires you, and it entertains you. Because you know what? I think the world out there needs a little bit of content. I mean, listen, I'm supporting the writers and the Actors and Writers Guild that's on strike. I'm supporting them. But if you have nothing to watch but reruns and you want something new, come here and see all new content and all new information. And so today we're going to be talking about, how things change all the time, how the world has changed, how life has changed, how business has changed since COVID, right? Everything has changed in this world, and we've had to do things a little differently. And therefore, the business world, the business environment has had to change. So today we're going to be talking about business. We're going to be talking about mentorship. We're going to be talking about community and connection. Those values align with me and my purpose and my vision and my pillars of foundation of my business and where I'm going with this show and where I'm going with you. So we have some really special guests today to talk about mentorship, connection, and community. 3 really important pieces of how we've shifted and how we've looked at business and how we've looked at how to enter into the world of business and entrepreneurship. My first guest today is Brooke Joyner. She's got a really interesting business. She calls her business Back to Business. And what it is, it's a membership that supports small businesses in the Boca and the Delray area and links them up with customers that are looking for certain items, certain values, certain, different kinds of information that they would need to either, have a goods, services, or whatever they need in order to move forward with getting their needs met, right? And so I love this idea because it supports small business. Since COVID, we have really made this shift to do like that online shopping. I've been guilty of it. I've been, kind of have like this direct line to Amazon. If I don't get an Amazon shipment, I feel like I'm going into withdrawal. But I also am noticing that I really am starting to feel like I need to support small businesses and small businesses in this community. And you need to support small businesses in your community. And that's where Brooke comes in. So let's welcome her. Let's get her view on how she created this business and what her vision is for Back to Business. Hello, Brooke.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. We met a little bit ago at a local networking event. And I don't know, we just made this connection. And I said, gotta have Brooke on my show. So I'm so glad that you agreed to be here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so tell us about what Back to Business actually is and why it's so important for our community. What service, what do you provide for the community that's so vital in these days?
Sure. Thank you so much for asking. So Back to Business exists to support and promote independent brands and businesses in Boca and Del Rey. And so, you're talking about local, you're talking about 30 employees or less, no big chains, they're the true mom and pop shops, across all industries. So whether that's restaurants, an electrician, you need a school for your children, you're looking for a place of worship. We also, so some of those are nonprofits as well, all business types. And then that matters because those folks they generally struggle to get in front of the ideal clients, the local clients who are otherwise bombarded with marketing messaging from bigger companies.
You make a really, something just struck me because what you are really providing for, the public is information about what's going to best serve their life, their lifestyle, and their needs at that moment. I mean, I'm thinking about new residents because we're getting inundated with new residents. You talk about what's the best, place of worship for yourself. And, it's so hard to find that.
It really is. It really is. And, a lot of consumers, they want to shop local. We all know it's better to shop local. Honestly, the cultural work on that has been done.
Yes.
But what is missing is how to find the businesses. We all want to have all of our favorite restaurants that someone moves to town and they say, oh, what's a great Italian place?
Right.
Where do you get your nails done? All these things, we want to have those favorite spots. But if you don't have the time to go and search all of them online, try them out yourself, you can't really be that sort of local guide for people that, you're right, a lot of people are coming here.
Yes. And also,
so it makes it easy to do
since COVID, so many businesses have gone out.
Yeah.
There have been so many businesses that are no longer there. So when we sort of came out of isolation and we went to go look for our favorite nail place or our favorite Italian restaurant, they were no longer there. So you can provide, up and coming businesses also.
Exactly. So my husband and I, we founded this company together, and one of the things is just imagine if we had done this pre-COVID, the impact that could have had. But like you said, new businesses coming up, existing businesses, the services we provide, we have our directory, which is our, it's an ad-free platform, so I could talk about the directory all day. I love the directory. But we also go beyond that with the services we offer. So we have a podcast, so our members get their own podcast episode to just shine a light on the business owner behind the business, because we are a community and we want to be getting to know the people in the community. We do business with people we know, like, and trust. So we just really break down those barriers for folks. So they have the podcast. We also do some promotional content across all of our social platforms for them. We co-brand it, we create it. And I love doing that. I love getting to know the brands and pushing their content out. So there are other benefits as well. So you can tell we really have a comprehensive membership package that whether someone is starting out, they're an existing business, or they're a pillar in the community, they're going to want to be a part of this because we're doing so much just to build that community and get the word out.
Yeah, it's a lot of times people start businesses because they're passionate about a certain product or a certain service that they offer, but they don't know all of the different kinds of business part of it. They know what they're passionate about. They know how to, maybe build the product or, offer the service, but they don't know how to get it out there, and the marketing and all of that goes into really getting known and getting name recognition. So I imagine that's one of the things that you really help businesses do.
Exactly. With our background, my husband and I, we had launched another company previously. So a lot of the businesses, in addition to our official offerings, they come to us for advice. They're looking for resources and information. And so I love to share with them, books we've read, mentorship that we've had, ongoing education, something very important to us. So sharing those resources, because people are looking for that. And as you said, these people, they're artisans in their craft, which is also why they should be the one that all the consumers go to. They're better at what they do. But when you're an expert at one thing, you might need help in the business operation.
So you talked about a previous business. So I know you were in technology, in the yachting or cruise industry.
Right.
And so it always interests me how people pivot and how people kind of reinvent themselves. So what inspired you, and how did you pivot from there to here?
I thank you for the question. I love to answer this question. Yachting is a very luxurious industry, and my husband and I, the company wasn't ours. We launched it for the founders.
Oh, okay.
So it felt a lot like ours. We ran it like ours, but it was never going to be ours. And that's okay. So we learned so much, and are very grateful to the owners of that company. But what we found was that yachting did not align with our values.
Why not? Why didn't yachting align with your values? What are your values? I know you talk a lot about having a value-based, a value-forward kind of, not only helping people with their values in their business, but your own values. Right. So tell me how that was not aligned, because I think that would be interesting for people who are really trying to find their place, space, and be in alignment with their values as they move forward with their own businesses.
Absolutely. So my husband and I, we're traditional Catholics. So we go to Latin Mass. We're very traditional minded, and we just love that. We have 4 children.
Woo!
We would like more, God willing. We love babies and big kids. But with yachting, it's not traditional. It's not about family. And now it's true, there are some owners that they go with their family, and that is their thing. And I won't deny that. But for the majority, it is more of the partying, the materialism. There's not a lot of humility in that industry, and so we didn't want to be serving something as simple as that. We wanted to be serving people and making a real difference in the community. And you mentioned values, so our directory, our community is values based. We have a broad spectrum of values represented. So it's not necessarily, I'm traditional, maybe others are not, and that's okay. It's really about finding businesses that align with your own values. And we saw the need in the market for that because it doesn't exist. There are a lot of directories that are a specific set of values. So if you, as a business owner, you want to be in that directory or that community, you have to subscribe to XYZ.
So talk to us about that membership and that directory kind of, approach to your business. So how does that work operationally? What is the real true nuts and bolts of that?
Sure, yeah. So we have a website that we built, and it's a directory, right? So you can list your business. The business owners, they get a listing, which is very, similar to other listings. It's fully actionable, fully branded, and fully optimized. And then in addition to that, they get their other benefits, right? So they pay a low monthly membership fee. Our website's also ad-free. So that really is an impactful decision that we made, because that means that you pay your membership fee, which again is very low. It's a nominal fee, really. No one else can pay more to have their ad show up over top of your listing. There's nothing in the banner ads or side, there's nothing else distracting a consumer who is looking at your listing. And that also means no one can pay more to show up first either.
So is it listed by services? Is it listed by products? How would somebody even navigate the directory?
So I'd love to show you more. So it's listed by listing type. So food and beverage, retail, professional service, recreation, and nonprofit. You can search based on the product you're looking for, the service you're looking for. You can just search based on values that matter to you. You could search only women-owned businesses, for example, or a certain faith background. You can search by nationality, which is so important for restaurants, grocery stores, those cultural things. So there's a lot of ways you can search. It just depends what you're looking for. But it's very user-friendly, and you can be as specific or as broad as you want. So you can say, I'm looking for restaurants in Boca Raton. You're gonna get a best match based on what you put in. You can search, I want Italian restaurants in Del Rey that are women-owned. You're gonna find the true best match, and that's why, the true best match, as opposed to paid search or an SEO result, all of these sort of things that other search engines rely on, we exist completely outside of that.
So what's been the feedback about your, business, about your product that you offer? What are people saying about it?
So the business owners, they love it because they really feel like we care, and we do, and that they really feel that, which makes me so happy. The consumers, they love it because they're finding just the best businesses. They know that they're going to have a great search result every time, and the businesses that they find are really high quality businesses. So people are loving it. They're referring friends. They're talking about it. It's kind of amazing, honestly.
How'd you come up with this idea? Like, what inspired you to come up with this? Because it's really like a niche business. It really is very, very unique and niche. And, yes, there are other sort of like bigger organizations, bigger companies that provide that, but not just like a little local business like this to really serve the community. What inspires you to develop this?
Well, like I said, my husband co-founded the company with me, and it was kind of a divine intervention. It just was given to him, and we said, and he actually almost didn't tell me. He said, I thought it was kind of silly, but I just went ahead and told you, and I loved it immediately, which of course every founder loves their idea.
Yes.
So we said, okay, this is good, and we kind of cast the vision for the company, not only the product and the community, but how we want to operate the company. And then it was 9 days after the idea, we had the real honor of pitching the idea to a mentor of mine, again, going back to mentorship, who is in the sort of tech startup space. And they love that idea. And so that was that sort of early validation, which is so important, that we said, hey, let's do it. So then we did.
But I imagine there was divine intervention, and there was, the mentor support, but it also required, I'm sure, courage and really this leap of faith. Right?
Yeah.
So what would you tell aspiring entrepreneurs who have these amazing ideas but are really scared to take that leap? What would you tell them, and how would you support them, and how would you be a mentor to them in terms of that?
So I would recommend a book. It's called The Lean Startup. So this book is it's focused on tech startups, okay? So even if you're not a tech startup, you can get real value out of it because it's this idea of validating your idea, validating what you're offering without wasting. So the idea is to test your leap of faith assumptions in the most cost-effective and resource-effective way. So I would say test your assumptions, read a lot, seek out people that are smarter than you in all of your weak areas.
Yeah,
so identifying
of course,
what those
mentors are all about. Getting the support, getting people that are knowledgeable, that have the knowledge, that know more than you.
Yeah.
And, listen, I think that that's one of the major, factors that determines success in anything we do, school, life, business. To reach out to resources and say, can you help me with this? What can you offer to me? How can I grow this? What do you think about this idea, right?
Exactly. And always being open to that feedback and being totally coachable. Because I never want to be the smartest person in the room, ever.
Yeah.
And but you have to seek that out. You really have to.
You can't also let ego get in the way.
Zero ego.
Because
Zero.
if the ego gets in the way, then you're going to feel criticized and judged, and you potentially might discount or dismiss something that could be so valuable in growing your business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Zero ego, zero pride, and really a servant heart, I think, helps the most with that. Always looking to serve others, bringing value first. And even in a coaching situation, again, it's a servant heart, it's coachability, it's being open and bringing value.
Yes.
That is vital.
I just want to back up a drop because you said something so important that, I know you and your husband are, religious people, you're faith-based people, you're really, into prayer, I imagine.
Right, yeah.
And so, but what you point out is that this was like this download, this God download, this divine intervention.
Right.
But, people get that very often. It's also about trusting the intuition, being silent enough to listen to that, right? And so, I think that's an important piece of really encouraging entrepreneurs. They must connect to that part of themselves. The part that says, oh, this is really not going to work, or that's a stupid idea, or what am I thinking, or no, I'm not going to even anticipate that. We have to trust those downloads.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, because we all have instincts for a reason, right? And then, yes, trusting that, and then if you have a doubt, or if it's prudent, seek that wise counsel. And if that wise counsel aligns with that intuition, then it's like, it's good.
Yeah. Sometimes the wise counsel is not even like human beings, right?
Right. Yeah, it varies. Yeah. Thankfully for us, it was.
Yes.
Because we're very faith-based, but I do very well in black and white also. So if someone says yes, it's like, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Clear.
So when did you actually start? When was the start date of the business?
So we founded Back to Business in November of 2021.
Right in the midst of COVID.
Right, yeah.
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 And so tell us the journey that it's been and what are some of the most rewarding aspects of the business?
Sure. So the journey has kind of been long already. There's a lot, So finding the right programmers to build our website is something that took some time. Finding the right mentorship and coaching took some time. I also had our fourth baby in that time.
Oh my goodness.
So
you deserve a lot of awards.
Oh, thank you. So that slowed us down, but She's amazing. So she's almost 6 months. So, and then, you know, we left our job, and that was a transition. You know, it took time to get to that point.
So you started this while you were still employed in that other business.
Right, because, you know, when you have someone building a website for you, it's not really a full-time thing yet, you know, and we were trying to do it kind of in the margins, but what we found was that a side thing will always be a side thing until it's not.
It'll be a side thing until you say, no, it's not a side gig, it is my main gig, and then you have to jump in.
Yeah.
What do you tell people, like, how do you know when to jump in and say, okay, this is no longer a side gig?
That's a tough one. I think it does vary based on the person, but I would say you want to have the security that is required for your situation. For example, we have 4 children, so we had to secure things in a different manner compared to like a single young woman or a single young man who you only have yourself and you can live in someone's garage.
That's right.
You know, but when you know, it's again, going back to intuition, you know when you cannot continue doing the other thing anymore. And, you know, you have to have the foresight to see, look, like, I can't keep doing that. And I need an end date on that because I have to focus on this thing. Again, being called to something, being your true purpose, going back to that intuition, that discernment of this is what I really need to be doing. And it might even be scary for a while, but you just have to do it. And so listening to that is important.
Discernment, that's a great word. That, you know, really discerning about what's going to work, what is really my, you know, point that I want to move forward to really and that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, that real trusting in our gut, trusting in our intuition. And so what do you think for you was the most, you know, challenging, or what was an adversity that you were able to overcome in order to get this moving?
Again, there are many. I really, you know, it's the biggest adversity, but it's the biggest blessing is probably having a family. You know,
that's very motivating, right? Motivating.
Yeah.
You got to make this work because we have a lot of mouths to feed.
We have a lot of mouths to feed, and we also want to be present for them.
Yes.
Right. So, you know, whereas someone else, they can wake up at 4:30 and work. I would love to do that, and I do a lot. And sometimes I have to go back and be with the baby, and that totally slows me down.
Yes.
But I wouldn't change that for the world.
Yes.
So I would say the biggest blessing is probably the biggest challenge.
Yes.
And in that, we just trust that God will provide for all the times that I can't do the work because I'm with the babies.
That's right. That's right.
So.
Yeah. And so, okay. So let's get down to, you know, what exactly will the local business expect from you?
Yeah.
So let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. So yeah, so when they come on board, we do a concierge listing setup. So you're going to work with myself to get your listing finalized. Your listing is going to be live everywhere on our platform. You're going to get scheduled for a podcast interview, and that's just very fun to do. It's called the Get Back to Business podcast, available everywhere. So you'll get your podcast episode. You're going to get also a teaser reel with that, a blog post. We feature you on our website. So just to give you that, you know.
It's like a whole package that they get.
Exactly.
And so where can local businesses contact you, or even the consumer who's looking for, you know, the business? How can they connect with you or, you know, get the information that they need?
Yeah, so I would just check out our website. It's getback2business.com, getback2business.com. You can search businesses there. You can create a login. You can contact us. And we're also on Instagram.
Yes.
We're also on Facebook. Or you can call. if on the website, there's a phone number.
Okay, good. So there's
So get in
actually a
touch with
human
us.
being behind it all.
Always, yeah. We're here to support you full time.
Yeah.
So
Well, Brooke, thank you so much for being a part of the show, being a part of the community. I know we're in Boca del Rey, but this might be inspiring for anybody who's watching, and perhaps you might want to start something local, that's local to your area. Reach out to Brooke. She'd be happy. Here I am, too, giving you services
we're gonna
away.
be spreading.
Yeah,
So
so it could be
definitely keep an eye.
spreading. Like, this is a great idea. We need to support local businesses, and this is the perfect way to do it. Getting the directory, really connecting with local businesses so that our tax money is going to help us. Jobs can be created in our community. We can really support one another because, enough of being alone and isolated after COVID. We need to have faces, bodies, and connections. And this is a great way to do it. So thank you so much for being here. We're going to take a brief break. And when we come back, I have another amazing guest to talk more about business, entrepreneurship, community, and connection. So we'll be back in a few moments.
Palermo, Landsman & Ross is a full-service tax and accounting firm located in Cooper City, Florida. For over 35 years, they have been assisting clients worldwide with solutions to assist clients with income tax planning, bookkeeping, consulting, and complex accounting issues. With constant tax law and rule changes, you need a competent, professional, and responsive accounting firm to have your back year-round. Please visit www.plrcpas.com to learn more about Palermo, Landsman & Ross and the services they offer.
Eileen Lemelman is a highly experienced licensed clinical social worker and psychotherapist, offering 30 years of insight into the healing of trauma, anxiety, and depression. With a patient and individualized approach tailored to every client's needs, Eileen leads her patients on a journey of self-discovery and healing, with the goal of ultimately achieving balance, joy, and fulfillment in life. No matter how old you are, it's never too late to live a passionate, happy life. Eileen is ready to support you on your journey to healing. Contact Eileen Lemelman today at 631-988-8453 to schedule your appointment today.
You're watching It All Starts With You with Eileen Lemelman. To join in the conversation, give us a call at 888-994-4995, Studio A. Now back to the show. Welcome back to It All Starts With You, and I am Eileen Lemelman, the host, and really excited to welcome who has become a really good friend of mine, and also just a wealth of information for entrepreneurs as well as women in general. My good friend and also colleague, Wendy Shore. Pick up your microphone. Hey, Wendy. How you doing?
Happy to be here today.
I know. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you.
Yes. I hear you just got back from a cruise.
Well, I was actually on a cruise tour.
Oh, a
Yes.
cruise tour.
Yes. So I have a friend who's a travel agent, and we toured the ship and had lunch, and hopefully set sail in December.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, okay. So I thought you were really went on a cruise.
Oh.
But I'm so happy to have you here because today we are talking about a lot of things that are really near and dear to your heart, I know, which is mentorship,
Yes.
connection, community, entrepreneurship, and especially encouraging women to take that leap. You know, listen, I think things have really changed in business. I mean, listen, since COVID, I think people want more flexibility. They want more work-life balance.
Yes.
They want to be able to, make more money than what they were doing. I think the corporate model doesn't really support that fully. And I think a lot of people have been kind of, really railing against it by becoming, entrepreneurs and really starting their own businesses. I think social media has really helped that, and also the internet. It allows people to jump into things that they never would. But, you can't do it alone.
No,
You
that's very
really
true.
can't do it alone. We want to do it alone. We have the idea, but we can't do it alone. And that's where you come in. Listen, I know you've been, involved in many different businesses, starting as a CPA, being a restaurateur, and now you are, really being a coach, a business advisor and coach for people to jump into just what we're talking about.
Exactly.
So let's talk about your journey, about how you got here, and how you decided to not go the traditional corporate CPA restaurant route and get to where you are today.
So, I think I knew I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I can remember at the age of 14 telling my parents to buy the condo next to us that was going on sale and rent it out. And at 18, I actually went and got my real estate license, but I was 18, I was a woman, and nobody was there to assist me. Nobody was there to be my mentor. I looked young, and I could not find the support I needed. And at that stage in my life, at 18, while I thought I had confidence, what I realized is I didn't have that confidence to push through. So I had to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And I wound up at that time going to school, spending a semester in London. And I came back and I told my mother, oh my God, this was lovely. I was actually on vacation, and I told her I wanted to go to school in London. So she figured out how to get me there. And there I met a group of people who were involved in the restaurant business.
Oh.
Yes. So I came back and I started working in restaurants. And I loved it. I was having a great time. I was waitressing, hostessing, bartending. And I got a job, now I was 20, as the assistant food and beverage manager of the Sheraton Hotel in Nanuet, New York. And I hated it. I said, oh my God, what did I do? I can't believe this. I changed my major mid-year. And anyway, long story short, I went back to school. What am I going to do now? And I was very good at accounting. I had 3 friends that were going for accounting. So I said, okay, I'll just become a CPA. And I went to school to become an accountant. I went to Pace University. But ask me how I paid for school.
As a waitress.
Waitressing, bartending, hostessing. And I loved it. And what I realized was I loved the restaurant business. What I didn't like was the hotel business, corporate, very different.
Yes.
And so when I met my now ex-husband, I wound up back in the restaurant business.
Okay.
And together we built restaurants. I was front of the house. I was the idea person. He was back of the house. He was a very good cook. And together we built restaurants.
I just want to interrupt you 1 second, because
Yes.
what I love so far about your story is that you didn't stay stuck in what you viewed as a potential mistake. You ended up taking that and saying, okay, I had that experience. I know I don't like it. Now what do I do to move forward? Never stopping, never, saying, oh, I made a mistake, so there's nowhere to go, right?
Right.
And I love that idea, because I think we all need that inspiration, and we all need that push to say nothing is a mistake, and we shouldn't say stuck.
Oh, no. Nothing is a mistake. It's a learning experience. And that's the whole thing with being an entrepreneur. It's never who's the smartest. It's never about, it's having the right idea, having the belief in your idea, and then having the grit and determination to see it through. Because as an entrepreneur, you are going to hit roadblocks and you are going to make missteps. And you just have to figure that out and keep going and say, that was a learning experience. And now I'm going to keep pushing forward.
Yes.
And it's really about grit and determination.
Grit and I love that. Grit, determination.
Yes.
Using whatever adversity that we face.
Absolutely.
And say, how can we move forward? So what would you tell an entrepreneur who wants to start, who's facing challenges and adversity? How would you instruct them? How would you mentor them? How would you really help them get through that?
Well, so first of all, and I want to say, and I get some pushback from this, being an entrepreneur is not easy. And if it was, I say everybody would do it. Because either you're working for your dream or you're working for somebody else's dream. And listen, there are people who like the corporate, like the 9 to 5, although usually it's more like 8 to 7.
Right.
And they
more like every hour of the day now that we're hooked up to these, iPhones.
Oh,
right?
right, exactly. Back in the day, it was just like, at least you went home, right? Maybe your phone rang, maybe you answered it, maybe you didn't. No, but it's not for the faint of heart. And you have to work, you have to take the time. And, there's a lot of these gurus that are out there saying, oh, by the way, we can make you an entrepreneur. You're going to work 10 hours a week. You'll make $1 million. Sign up for my course. I'm going to show you how to do it. And I'm going to tell you, you're not. That's not how it works. There's very few people who work 10 hours a week and make $1 million a year. But entrepreneurship, you can grow your business and you can make a nice living and work less and have that family life balance, right? But it's a process, right? And you put in the time up front to have the balance. And you know what? I remember listening to people saying, or even myself, I would get up, I'd work with the kids, they'd go to school, I'd do my work, I'd pick them up, I'd feed them dinner, they'd go to sleep, I'd do my work. And when you're an entrepreneur and you have children, especially as a womanpreneur, that's sort of what your life is about, right? You're fitting your work between your kids and making them happy. And I worked a lot. I really worked a lot, more probably now in retrospect than I wish I took more time for balance. But yeah, it's not easy, but it's worth it. And so what you have to do.
How do you convince somebody that it's worth it? Because I think, especially, you're talking about younger women who have children and trying to fit in everything, children, childcare, home, potentially a husband, and your work.
Mm-hmm.
But how does that look different as we are maturing, the children leave, and now we have to ignite our career or reignite or, push ourselves towards something else? How do you help somebody like
the pivot.
that? Yeah,
the entrepreneur. Well, so here's the thing. First of all, as an entrepreneur, when you're younger, right, and the amount of work you have to put in, you have to ask yourself, what is my why, right? And if the why is money, you're going to give up. Because
that's true.
It's not a strong enough factor to keep you going. It's a strong enough factor to start you, but when things get really, really tough and you're just ready to throw in the towel, it's not enough of a why to keep you going. But now what happens is, for myself, I was in restaurant business, brick and mortar people who've been in the entrepreneurial, or rather the corporate environment. We gain all this knowledge, right? So I have the knowledge of being a certified public accountant because I did work for Ernst & Young and I worked for a small accounting firm. Then I went back into the restaurant business. I had my own business. The amount of knowledge from that is crazy. How to negotiate lease, how to find insurance, how to hire, how to build a team. I had more than one restaurant, right? So as we go through life and as we go through these iterations of our job, our career, we learn so much. And then we want to teach other people. We want to help other people. And for me, it's teaching entrepreneurs because that's my passion. But for other people, it could be like how to crochet. I mean, there's so many things that we have passions for that we can take it online and teach people.
That's true.
And that's where it's headed now. You know, the online teaching is going to be $1 billion industry, right? And so if you have something that you're passionate about, how to raise cats, you know, I mean, there's some crazy little niches out there, you know, so what are you passionate about? What do you have experience
Yeah.
with?
What I have noticed is the more niche you are, the better it is.
Yes.
Because if we try to be a generalist and cover so much, then I have a feeling like people don't know where to look, right? But if we are niche down, then people, I mean, like you said, even if you think it's a crazy idea, like how to raise cats,
Yep. Yep.
you know what? People are looking for that.
There's somebody looking for that. You know,
If you build it,
they will
come.
build a better mousetrap.
Yes.
You know, so I'm really glad you mentioned this. I fought it for years. I have so much experience. I can teach so many things to so many people, right? Why would I want to put myself in a box? Why would I want to limit what I can do, limit my income, limit my audience, right? But what winds up happening is that you literally wind up speaking to nobody because nothing you say matters enough to anybody. So if you say something now that matters, they're listening, and the next thing you say doesn't resonate with them.
That's right.
Right? And it's like, have you ever listened to a podcast, right? Like Eileen's show, It All Starts With You, where somebody was talking directly to you. It's like everything they said was like checking off all the
Yes.
boxes of what you needed at that
Yes.
moment in your life. That means they did their research. They know who their ideal audience is,
Yes.
and you're it.
Okay, so I'm putting you on the spot. Talk to your audience and tell them what you want them to know about you. What do you want? Talk to them.
Well, here's the thing. I don't want them to know about me. I want to know about them. I want them to know that whatever it is their passion, if they want to teach something, I'm the person who can help them set up their business. I'm the person who can guide them through all the difficulties. We'll start with the foundation. We'll do the things that entrepreneurs make mistakes along the way when they're new entrepreneurs. We'll make sure those mistakes aren't made because somebody who's been there, whether it's me or somebody else. You want to find somebody who can get you from here to there faster with less headache. Somebody who's been what you're going through. So no, I don't help everybody. I may not help the person who's trying to train somebody to teach cats. But if you have a passion, maybe I am the person for you. You know, if you have an actual way that you do it, that you could reach the masses and make an impact, teaching people how to raise cats, then let's figure out if it's viable, right? Let's do a test first and see if there's an audience who wants to know it and enough for you to make a living, right? Otherwise, it's just going to be a hobby. And if you can't scale it, you just bought yourself a job. So there's so much that goes into it where you can do something you love and make a living, but you don't want to just make a living. You don't want to just pay the bills. You want to make an impact in the world. And the only way to do that is to be able to scale. So that's another whole.
Yeah. But, you know, if you had listened to the show that I just had with Brooke, what we were talking about was you could have a passion, you could have an idea, you might, you know, have this dream, but you don't know how to operationalize it. You don't know the first thing about making it into a business.
Right.
And that's what you're talking about as well.
Correct. And Brooke, I listened to the show, and Brooke was fabulous, and I loved a lot of what she was saying, and I know she recommended a book that you can read, and it's what I help people with, which is let's come up with a viable offer, your least viable, you know, that you can put out there and figure out if there's a market for it. And that's all part of defining your niche, who is your ideal audience, and then honing in on what we call your ideal client avatar so that you're speaking to one person. Doesn't mean you're not going to do business with other people, but it's so your message lands when you put it out there, and then you test it and you see. And so she was spot on. Like, I was listening to it going, yes, I know. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Yeah. So let's talk about how do we I mean, I know you said put out an offer, talk to the direct person, the direct avatar that, target audience.
Right.
So, I think that's not always so easy for people.
It's not easy. And so it depends on, are you starting a business new, or do you have a business already? Because if you have a business already, there's information there. And we look through the information and we see, who is your client now? Who is spending the most money with you? Because that really means that they're resonating with you the most. And a really good example, or an analogy, when I had the restaurant, we catered to a clientele that lived in the vicinity that was mostly retired, right? They were well-to-do retirees that lived in country club communities, lovely people. They knew what they wanted. They knew good food. They'd come to the restaurant, and I loved what I did. I then opened up a restaurant where I had a partner, and the partner was this younger guy who's like, no, I want to get the 30-year-olds that are hip and spending money. I'm like, but we have the 55 to 70-year-olds that are spending money and they know what they like. So we kind of went back and forth, and being the one woman in the group of 5 men, I lost the argument, and we started trying to cater to the 30-year-old hip crowd. Well, guess what?
Guess what?
They didn't want to be there with it wasn't our market.
Well, because also
Yes.
they didn't do their research.
Yes.
Because who has the most expendable income?
Absolutely.
The 55 to 70-year-olds.
Absolutely.
Have the most expendable income. Remember that.
And they know good food. And they know good food. So this whole, right, knowing so when you have the
Yes.
information and you know who's there and who your client is already, then you can sort of hone in on them, and then you come up with offers geared especially to them.
And so you do this hand in hand with whoever
Yes.
would come to you as, a potential, a client, a
Yes.
potential entrepreneur who's looking to get help. And so you would start with, okay, let's make an offer. Let's see let's like really get it very, very specific.
Right.
Does that have to do with impact driven?
It does. It does, because for me, it's impact driven. I want to help as many people as I can to reach their dreams. And the way for me to do that is what I'm doing. That's why I also started group consulting as well, because more people that I can make an impact with. And with that comes one-on-one, where we are, because you have to have the one-on-one conversations, right? Because if you're not really delving into the information, people get lost in the sauce, right? They don't know, because they don't know what they don't know.
That's true.
And so I know earlier Brooke was also talking about like losing the ego, right? And you always have to be willing to learn. I'm always learning, right? I'm always reading. I have a
So what book would you recommend for an aspiring entrepreneur, in terms of getting them focused and niche down and, really figure out what their avatar should be?
I don't know that there's really a book for that. There's many books for that, and there's many books on entrepreneurship, but I think that finding your niche and honing in on that is really a personalized journey. It really takes, I could kind of give you like, look at your customer now, who's the top 20% spending with you, kind of go from there. And there are, I guess, steps you can go through. But I think it's more than that. It's really looking at the big picture. What problem are you really trying to solve?
Yes.
You know,
That's always the key. What problem are you trying to solve? Because that's how you know you've got a viable business, if you are solving a problem. So I love what you're talking about in terms of all your experience and all your experience that you bring to help the aspiring entrepreneur. How can somebody contact you, connect with you, and get with you so that you can help them start launching their business? How can they connect to you?
They can go to wendyshore.co. Wendy Shore, it's SHORE, like the seashore. If you want to be sure, seashore. And it's wendyshore.co. Leave off the M because we're going to make you money. There's different ways to contact me on there, whether you want to call me, email me, and have a conversation first. Because one, I want to make sure that you're ready for entrepreneurship. Just because you have an idea doesn't mean you're ready.
Okay.
And also, I want to make sure that we're a right fit.
Yes, it always has to be chemistry.
Yes.
That's always the important thing.
Absolutely.
And I hope you and I had a lot of chemistry today, because the information that was presented to you is invaluable. And this is about women taking leaps to really make their dreams come true. And I hope the show today really helped inspire you to take your leap. And, you can always reach out to me, Eileen Lemmelman. Look on my website, eileenlemmelman.com. And also go to my YouTube, which is It All Starts With You. See you soon, because it does all start with you. Thanks a lot. And that's all for today. Join us next time as we create a community that helps you feel accepted for being yourself, giving and receiving unconditional support for each other as we connect and inspire one another. And remember, it all starts with you.